Hello and welcome back to another certified OG shaping video. A few months ago you saw how we bought an E55 AMG. It was currently the cheapest AMG you could buy in Austria, and we soon unfortunately also found out why that was the case. This was probably the most annoying project we've done so far. Nevertheless, I think that this car has potential, and in this video we're gonna see just how good the German Hellcat really is. Enjoy. Yeah, wonderful day today, as you can see, which means it is a wonderful day to start our AMG project finally and make this car beautiful again, because it really needs it. You saw it in the intro, this car has definitely seen some better days. And we're gonna start with, well, first of all, here is Marcel. And if you see Marcel, you probably know what this means already, because today we're gonna start with what is for me the most important part, which is the interior of this car. You see the seats, they are pretty worn out. Well, you don't really see it in the video, but in real life it's actually not so good anymore. There's some white stains on the seat where just the leather has worn off over time. So we're gonna do the seats, and most importantly, we're gonna try, because none of us has done it before, we're gonna try to make the headliner of the car black. I'm not really a big fan of like these gray headliner options. So the way we're gonna do it is we have some paint here for the seats. This is Marcel's job. He's the expert at that. And then, well, Mani and me and Marcel, I don't know. We have some paint here, which is basically just some regular paint that you can buy in a paint shop for like t-shirts and stuff. And with that, we're gonna try to make the fabric of the roof black. I don't really know how this is gonna work. We have all kinds of different sponges, and then we also have some Alcantara wrapping for the plastic pieces and plastic trims to hopefully make them black as well. So yeah, enough talking. Let's see how it goes, because I really have no idea how or what to expect, but we're gonna find out, I guess. Okay, since none of us has been doing this before, we're gonna try to start with one of the A-pillars. Mani is already working hard to remove it from the car. Yeah. And then we're gonna see how this works. I mean, in the end, this is gonna be the most pain in the ass to get these. Achso, das ist schon draußen.
Ja, schon hast. Aber was ist das für Kabelsalat?
Ich meine, das ist von der Freisprecherrichtung, ne?
Und was ist das?
Airbag. Okay, so let's see how it works with the A-pillar, and then depending on that, we're gonna see how we continue with the car.
Gut, der Untergrund ist auch so geil aus, Alcantara. Schlecht ist es nicht.
Das geht sogar richtig schnell.
Ja.
Yeah, so this is the result of the first two A-pillars, and I really have to say, this actually turned out way better than expected. Kind of looks a little bit like Alcantara. I can't really wait to see how it turns out to be when it's dry. But looking like this now, I'm pretty confident that we can actually do it. So yeah, A-pillar is done. I guess let's start with the hard part, which is taking the car apart. Removing all the plastic pieces. Mani is doing a pretty nice job already, and then we can start tapping the whole entire roof of the car black. Yeah, with all these plastic parts, we're doing it pretty simple. We're just gonna prime them, and then afterwards we're gonna paint them black. So here you can see I already primed these pieces here. That looks actually pretty nice so far. And now we're just gonna use some normal black spray paint, matte black spray paint, to paint over it. And I hope this is gonna look beautiful and not bad afterwards. Yeah. Yeah, all in all, everything on the interior except for the steering wheel and for a little surprise is done so far. Headliner is black again. Well, like not again, but headliner is black, how it's supposed to be. The seats look pretty much like new. Obviously we still have some like little Pfoten, but yeah, I don't really want the seats to be 100% perfect. I want them to have a little bit of patina, but not like completely destroyed. And I think this is just absolutely amazing. Rear seats also look very, very good, which means it is time to move on to the next part. Really quick now. I just like way more how the car looks from the outside now, because you can't see the headliner anymore. Now it looks like a proper luxury car is supposed to look. I also love the blue windows, so I think we're going to keep those. But most importantly, you don't see the white A, B and C pillars anymore, and the car just looks way better this way. Yeah, so next step is probably going to be to polish the car and to get all the scratches and dents and all these kinds of markings out of the car to make it look beautiful again, which I think the car really needs quite a lot of attention. So step number 2, let's go. Before we continue this magnificent project, I want to tell you guys about the sponsor of today's video, because honestly, if I would have paid more attention and actually used the sponsor of today's video, which is Car Vertical, I would have probably saved myself a lot of trouble, which you're gonna see later on in the video. Car Vertical basically is the CIA of the automotive industry. It lets you background check any vehicle you want, which is actually very helpful if you plan on purchasing a vehicle in the near future. With Car Vertical, all you have to do is enter the VIN number of the vehicle you plan on purchasing, or you may have already purchased, and Car Vertical will give you a report on the car. They were kind enough to actually send me a report as well of a very fitting car, which, as you can see here, is a Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG, which so happens to be the exact car that I'm sitting in. Well, hopefully not the exact car, but you know, the same brand and model. And as you can see as well, Car Vertical checks your car on 3 different levels. First of all, you have the odometer, which in my case is already in a pretty bad shape because the odometer has been rolled back. Car Vertical knows this because it checks various different databases all over the world. Pretty helpful if you ask me. Also very important, especially for US imports, which we have quite often here in Europe. Car Vertical tells you everything about previous damages this car may or may not have had. Car Vertical has also attached us some pictures of the car, and honestly looks very similar to mine. You can't really see any damages here on the pictures, so the car looks good. But if you check databases, it will tell you that the car had some previous accidents. And on the 3rd stage, Car Vertical lets you check everything about your car's legal status. And this is to check if the car has been stolen or not. And the best part of it all is, if you don't find anything in your reports, you actually get credits back, which you can then use on your next report on your next vehicle. And because I'm such a cool guy, I have a discount code especially for you, my true lovely viewers. And the discount code is OG save up to 20% on your next Car Vertical purchase. Link is in the description down below. So what are you guys waiting for? Check it out and let me know what you think about it. The interior of the car was somewhat done. And that brings us to the next part, which is going to be the exterior of the car. And here we have a special guest, which is my friend Manu from Glanswelt. He's going to take very, very good care of the car. First of all, he started by giving the car a proper rinse, which was honestly very well deserved after the winter time. Then it was time to bring out the big guns. And that means polishing the entire exterior of the car.
You can, 'cause I won't wait or take no hands, and maybe I should really let it go. And I can be tricky, so baby let's go. I can see that you're thinking, so what's on your mind?
Manu and his team also went over the interior to clean out some parts of the interior and make them shiny again. And most importantly, the trunk was completely moldy, so they took good care of my trunk area so that the mold didn't spread any further into the car. Manu went even one step further and he fixed my rear bumper, which was broken from some of the previous owners. Now if you combine all of this together, I think the car looks way better. Ultra schön. Das ist wie frisch vom Werk, 2004.
Ja klar.
Unglaublich. Das ist echt voll schön geworden. Felgen auch, oder? Oha. Ja, Glanzi. Mani Glanzi.
Mani 2.0.
Ja. Detailing is my passion.
Richtig, so schaut's aus.
I really have to say this honestly looks like a new car. It's hard to say in a video, but in person this car looked really, really bad when we brought it here. Also the salt, I don't know why, but this car kind of attracted the salt in the wintertime a lot, especially here on the door handles. Everything is gone now. I'm really happy how it turned out. Looks like a beautiful car for old people. Time to bring it home. Ready for step number 3. It's gonna be good. The the car is back in the garage, and as you can see, it is actually, under this light you can see it's very, very beautiful. Good job by Glanzwelt at this point. Also interior was somewhat done. I still kind of want to figure out what to do with the steering wheel. But apart from that, we're gonna change the winter tires to put some summer tires back on the car, and now the real fun begins. We have some engine modifications, obviously, because these engines are pretty well known for making a lot of power without having to do a lot of stuff to it. But this is gonna be later on in the video, because first of all, we're gonna do a little magic trick because we have something pretty cool for this car. You saw the first time when we drove it, it was absolutely terrible to drive with the original transmission. I don't really know what they did when they put this into this car, but it basically just drives like a regular E-Class. It's not really sporty and I don't like it at all. So Gabriel and me, we first of all thought we're gonna manual swap the E-Class, which would have been cool, but I don't really think that it fits the vibe of the car, because I think the cool thing about this car is that it's so comfortable to drive. It's supposed to be an automatic. So what better transmission to put in our E55 AMG than this lovely 8HP that we miraculously had laying around in our garage for the past like 6 weeks. We already have an adapter to it, so this can basically be bolted straight onto the engine with these two adapter plates. The only thing that we need to do is we need to figure out what to do with the cardan relay. But yeah, Gabriel is gonna start working on the car. It's gonna fit the gearbox into the car, so then we know how much of the cardan relay we need, how long it needs to be, and how wide and everything. And then we're gonna figure out the rest, I guess. So 8HP meets E55. Let's go. So, like you saw, it was finally time to start with the gearbox. The centerpiece of this video basically. This is the part that's going to make this car shift and drive as fast as possible. We're using an 8HP 70 gearbox, which is basically a gearbox you can find in any modern BMW, Jaguar, Hellcat, whatever. Nearly every single modern car uses this gearbox, even the M3 G80. They can last up to 1000 Newton meters, so it should be pretty close to this build, but I think it's gonna work anyway. Gabriel is gonna start by removing the old gearbox, which I don't really know if we're gonna need it anymore. Yeah, one day later, Gabriel got the old gearbox out of the car, as you can see, and we also have the exhaust out of the car. The only thing, we kind of forgot to order some engine mounts, so I ordered them right now. They should arrive in like 2 or 3 days, because with the 8HP gearbox, we're gonna need stronger engine mounts, and also for the power upgrades that we're gonna do later, stronger engine mounts would not be bad. So I ordered some CLK Black Series engine mounts. These are pretty much the hardest Mercedes-Benz original engine mounts that you can get, and with that, it should be good. So in the meantime, we're gonna leave the gearbox out, because right now you can actually get to the engine mounts pretty easily. And then once we did this, we can mount the 8HP. So in a few days, we should be able to get this into the car. And in the meantime, Gabriel is going to start welding up an exhaust. This is the original one. It's pretty quiet, as you can probably guess by all these silencers and restrictors in here. This is actually a pretty interesting setup. Yeah, and it's also pretty ugly, especially here. So yeah, Gabriel is gonna do some magic. I don't really know what he's gonna do, but we're gonna see it later. Also, we're gonna get rid of these eventually, but this will be after the gearbox, I think. So, I see you guys in a bit. Gabriel is welding the gearbox mount, which was pretty easy. We still had some bushings laying around from our E36 project. We're gonna use those. They are a bit harder than the standard ones, so it's gonna make shifting a bit quicker, hopefully. And then it was time to test fit the new 8HP gearbox. We're gonna need a custom-made drive shaft that fits the BMW gearbox to the AMG differential, which luckily we found somebody in Austria that could do this for us. We're using gearbox adapters from PMC, which basically fits the gearbox directly to the engine, and with that, the new gearbox is already inside. And before we installed the exhaust, Gabriel had the genius idea to turn on the car without the exhaust to see how it sounds, which was this. And so after all, the gearbox is assembled. Now it's time to change the oil filter of the gearbox, which is basically inside the housing of the gearbox. So you need to change your complete oil pan for the gearbox in order to change the filter. The 8HP, as you see, is properly mounted with the PMC adapter plates to the engine. So that actually worked really, really well. No issue with that. Also the Kardanwelle drive shaft is fitting pretty good, which Gabriel had specially fabricated. And then we have our special guest and star guest over here, which is Ronny.
Hello.
Und auf was spezialisierst du dich?
Grundsätzlich Motorsteuergerät,
Also vor allem Kabel suchen.
so ist es.
Okay. Ronny is our specialist, and Ronny is going to take care of making the 8HP run and work and properly shift in the car. Obviously, as you can probably see already, lots of cables needed for that, and also lots of technical ingenuity, which...
Das mache ich nicht. Ich habe mir gedacht, ich stecke das Getriebe ein und dann starte ich und fahren wir schon.
Aber
das ist halt viel mehr.
Yeah. So it's going to be pretty interesting, and also it's going to be a pretty long task of getting all the wires and cables into the right location of the ECU, and also finding out which part of the ECU does what and everything. So that's going to take some time now, but that's what Ronny is here for, and he also has his laptop with him, so I think we're properly equipped. Anyway, I'm going to give the camera back to Gabriel, and you guys are going to see Ronny in action now, and then hopefully once Ronny is finished, this should work. And then we're ready for the next step, which is also going to be pretty cool. Also, Gabriel finished the exhaust, which is not on the car right now, but yeah, schaut, glaube ich, ganz gut aus. Bin gespannt, wie das klingt da. Yeah. The only issue we need to fix right now is, well, apart from getting this to run, these are the old oil cooling lines for the original gearbox, which obviously you can see they are not really lining up. Gabriel has the adapters here though, so he's going to make some new lines. Schmieren muss das auch vielleicht, keine Ahnung. Yeah, we're gonna need to cut these, and then we're gonna fit some dash 8 lines right onto here, and then hopefully this should work out, and then we should have oil cooling or oil inside the gearbox. So, like I already said, the oil lines need to be done new for the gearbox, obviously. Gabriel is doing a fantastic job, and I have to say, it looks like from factory. Now, this is where Ronny truly unleashes his full potential. Ronny is a beast with wiring and general ECU questions. So right now, as you can see here, he is doing some of the wiring which needs to be done to connect the ECU to the gearbox. This is honestly pretty tiring work. Everything is just very monotonous. You have to find which cable basically gives which signal that you're gonna need for the gearbox. So it's pretty much a big trial and error. He's using his laptop and his phone to check which signals are what, and after a few tries you finally get the right cables that you need to connect, and everything is good to go. The very interesting part about the E55 and obviously the whole stuff that we're doing is if you're doing the 8HP swaps with like BMWs and Audis and everything, the CAN bus is always pretty easy to find. You can just find it in the program and you don't have to look around very much. But the hard part here with the AMG, obviously, the CAN bus is nicht hinterlegt.
Yes.
Also, was auch immer das auf Englisch heißt.
Yeah, it's not pre-configured. Yes, so you have to analyze the whole canvas and identify every single address and value in the canvas. So from brake pedal to speeds and everything you need for the swap. Yeah, it's a pretty time-consuming work.
This is why Ronny is here for 2 days and not only for a few hours, because we have to literally figure out every single one of the cameras, sensors and what they're doing, which is, as you can see, a lot of canvas work. And with that, the gearbox is finally assembled and it's pretty much mated to the ECU of the car, which means we're ready to go. Now we only need to put in the drive shaft and put the freshly welded exhaust back on, and then we're ready to see if we did everything correctly. Alright, the complete underbody of the car is finished. As you can see, the exhaust is back on the car. Gearbox is back, or like not back, but like gearbox is on the car now with the fresh oil filter. We also have the drive shaft in here. So everything is where it's supposed to be, which means we're gonna lower the car into the ground and we're gonna take it for the first little spin to see how everything works. If it's too quiet, maybe we're gonna have to show them.
Ja, es war die schön, weil dann könnten die zwei Realen ähnlich groß sein, weil das ist schon so verbogen.
Ja, also vielleicht müssen wir den hier noch entfernen. Aber first thing first, car to the ground and see how it drives with the 8HP. Okay, yeah, we're waiting for the final software before I can put the car to the ground. In the meantime, we're gonna do some really nice tuning. We're gonna lower the car professionally with this tuning software fürs Vorwerk. The funny thing is, actually all the AMG boys, they lower the car with something like this, because back in here, wo ist denn dieser?
Ich hab's nicht gesehen.
Also da oben ist einmal das fürs Luftfahrwerk.
Ja, aber wo drücke?
Da drückst du einfach, keine Ahnung. Basically all you have to do is you press somewhere in here and then the sensor moves more upwards and then your car thinks it's higher so it lowers the suspension. And in the front we're gonna do it a bit more professionally because in the front there's some over here. These are the sensors for the airmatic and we're just gonna make this part longer so that the sensor is more upwards and the car thinks it's higher so that it lowers itself. Pretty simple. Keine Ahnung, probier einfach. Wenn's abreißt, haben wir Scheiß benommen.
Ja, das macht Sinn.
Das macht dann Sinn, ja, fix. Aber das muss weiter nach oben, also der Sensor muss nach oben.
Nein, der Sensor geht nach oben, aber die Kuppelstange geht nach unten.
Okay, genau das brauchen wir.
So nur ein bisschen mehr drücken, weil wir können es jetzt zurückdrücken, weil es gedämpftes Stahl ist.
Ja, perfekt. Obacht, weil sonst lämmst du auf dem Boden. Sonst ist er gestanzt, wenn du zu weit druckst nach hinten. And in the front, Mani actually bought this for us on eBay. It's the first thing Mani bought. So schaut das aus. Just, ja, wirklich, aber.
Wie müssen wir es, oder?
Ich dachte voll ausgetan. Und dann sehen wir es wenn er am Boden gestanzt, das ist ja geil.
So dies machen wir jetzt.
Okay.
Also wenn der jetzt so da steht. Ich glaube, das ist noch nicht. Das ist einfach Luftleer, weil er auf der Hebebühne oben gestanden ist. Mach mal an. Ich glaube, ich spinne. Ja, wir bearbeiten das nochmal nach und dann sagen wir es nochmal, Jungs. Yeah, the everlasting AMG project. Honestly, we thought we would be finished like a few weeks prior to this. This is probably one of the longest projects we've done because this has been taking way longer than what we actually thought and also way longer than what we showed you. Because getting everything to run properly with the 8 HP was a pain in the ass. Ronnie left a few days ago, but we figured out there's a few more things that we honestly forgot about. So the issue when we did the test drive was the engine ECU didn't know that the car was in drive, so it was pretending it was in neutral, and in neutral the supercharger doesn't engage. So that's why we had no power, so we had to figure out how to tell the engine that the car was in drive when the gearbox was in drive, and that was a pretty interesting task. There was another like 2 sleepless nights, but not for Ronnie, but for this nice young gentleman here. Bist du schon wieder beim Backman spielen?
Ja, gleich fangen wir an.
Möchtest du dich kurz vorstellen?
Philipp von PTS, Prestige Tuning Solutions.
Jawohl, merci.
Ja, eine geniale Teamleistung, dass wir das Getriebe jetzt überhaupt zum Laufen bekommen haben in der kurzen Zeit. Es haben ein paar Kenndaten gefehlt, Signale, die das Getriebe unbedingt braucht, Gangsignale, Echtzeitdaten aus Datenbanken, die jetzt Ronny und sein Kann-Spezialist leider nicht hatten.
So it was a lot of, well, laptop work, which honestly I know really not much about. By the way, this is Philip's nice E55 AMG. And you're probably wondering, why is there another one over here? This car belongs to this young little gentleman. Möchtest du dir kurz vorstellen?
Ja, guten Tag. Ich bin der Evgeny, Moskau Supercharge Europe,
Jawohl.
Vertreter von Moskau Supercharge. Wir machen so ziemlich alles, was M113 K betrifft.
This gentleman here, he is going to be responsible for giving us the parts. Moscow Supercharge once again. Huge shout out at this point. The parts came directly from Moscow.
From Russia, exactly.
Yeah. I honestly didn't believe it, but it's pretty crazy. So Putin actually handcrafted them. Pretty nice. Was haben wir da alles Schönes?
Wir haben hier einmal die Klassiker Longtube-Fächerkrümmer für deinen schönen 211er. Dann natürlich ein XL-Kühler.
So we have long tube headers, we have a nice little, well, basically cooler to get everything. Heat exchanger.
And something, couple other parts.
Yeah, this is gonna be for the supercharger. So together, MSC, together with Philip from Prestige Tuning. Well, they are going to be responsible for making my car an absolute rocket because these engines, they have so much potential and we are going to unleash this potential today. I don't really know what horsepower numbers we're going to talk about, but it's going to be crazy fast and it's going to be pretty much at the limit of what the 8 HP can hold, and the limit what the 8 HP can hold is around 900 Newton meters. So I can tell you, this car, when we get finished today, is going to be crazy fast. This is going to be an absolute quarter-mile weapon. Really, really, really. I don't kid you. They drive these cars with these setups in America all the time and they are, you're gonna see it later. Gabriel did a little bit of work already. He removed the exhaust and he removed the headers. So all that we have to do now is get the long tube headers in. We were stupid. We didn't realize it. Then Gabriel has to do the exhaust once again because the long tube headers, they stick out a bit further than the original ones. And after that, we have to pull the car down, do the pulley, do the heat exchanger, and then Philip is gonna do his magic, get everything running and put a nice little software on the car and then we should be good. So let's go. Yeah, and now, because I didn't show you the parts, of course we need to show you the parts. let me tell you, I want to say once again, shout out to Moscow Supercharge, because it was really hard to get these parts here from Russia. You know, everything is going on. People are crazy right now. And it was equally as crazy to get these parts here. Honestly, I think it's pretty cool that we have parts from Russia, because like Russians are pretty well known for making building cars like these. So I think we got the right parts for them.
It's a little gift.
Was ist denn das? Rosa.
Mach mal auf.
Was ist das? Oha. Oha.
Yes.
Ist das wirklich aus Russland?
Ja, wirklich.
Das ist ja voll geil. So, and now to the very important parts.
Das Werkzeug für die Kupplung festzuziehen.
Nice little pulley. Supercharger pulley. So basically, the original pulley is bigger, 91, and this one here is 80 millimeters, which is 10 millimeters smaller than the original one. And this basically makes the supercharger spin faster, and by spinning faster, it generates more power and also more noises. So we're gonna have more supercharger noises and more power at the same time, only by changing this pulley. Ich distanziere mich von politischen Statements. Boah.
Steht aber.
Lass uns dieses Auto bauen.
Siehst du, ne?
So 90% of this package was actually just random parts from Russia. So this is going to be the fuel that we use while driving this car. This is pure methanol.
Russian octane.
Yeah. So, was soll man noch Schönes? This is going to be the coolant for the supercharger, the coolant reservoir.
Exactly.
Very nicely designed. Apart from that, Arbeits-T-Shirts, Arbeitskappas.
Das ist geil.
Musst du aufsitzen. And
Spacer.
Spacer.
Luftfilterkasten Spacer.
Für mehr Volumen.
Genau, für mehr Volumen.
Jetzt das.
Das Wichtigste.
Ja, das ist geil. Die
Cherry on top.
Zertifizierung.
Certification. So shout out once again to Moscow Supercharge. Thank you for providing these nice little gifts to me. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. And we're going to build the car now, the Moscow way. Ich muss ganz kurz was probieren und das macht's dabei, okay?
Passt.
By the way, really quick. Wer hat das geschweißt?
Ich nicht. Da schaut das mal an. Das ist, schau mal innen, da im Sammler.
Ja, da geht schon was durch. Pretty nice parts, honestly.
Er hat mir gerade erzählt, lebenslange Garantie.
Lebenslange Garantie.
Lebenslange Garantie, wenn du die halt jetzt nicht isolierst oder halt die Stege wegschneidest.
Yeah, these parts are with love from Moscow. Cooler.
Das ist auch Gitarre.
Oh, one more part is missing actually. Shout out at this point to my homie from the Czech Republic, DJ Lucky Boy. You guys know him. He actually organized me these nice little engine mounts. They are from Black Series, CLK Black Series engine mounts. They're a bit stiffer than the original ones, which we're gonna need for the power that we're gonna run. Yeah, now we have all the parts. Well, first part, we have to remove the bumper to get through all the parts easily. So let's go. Really quick, changing this pulley is actually pretty easy. So that's the original pulley. That's the original pulley. Bigger one, as you can see. This one is the smaller one from Moscow Supercharge. And all we have to do is basically this clamp that was provided with the pulley. This will hold the clutch, the pulley clutch in place. And then you can just open these bolts, slide off the pulley, put the new pulley back on, and that should be it. So just by replacing this pulley, you can make up to like 50, 40 horsepower just with the pulley alone, without like software and stuff like that. So really nice.
Yeah.
So there's the spacer for the pulley basically, to get the pulley separated from the clutch a little bit. Old one, new one. New one looks more shiny, so we put the new one back in. Good idea, right? So these are the spacers for the intake. Basically just lifts up your intake a little bit so you get more air into the engine, which is also very good for the engine. Perfect. So pulley is in place. So little PSA, if you put the belt on, you have to pull out the whatever this here, weil das braucht man nicht.
No.
So second try, looks completely stock. So pulley in place, spacers are also in place. Only two more parts missing, and this is, I already know which is going to be the most annoying. It's going to be this one over here. But yeah, this is so far pretty good. Honestly, I can't wait to see how it sounds with these. I thought you'd just replace the OEM parts, but this is actually extra, so we need to drill some holes here, and then it mounts straight onto here,
Exactly.
which is actually pretty cool. And then this will cool
The supercharger.
supercharger.
So we have then a split cooling system.
Погоди. Братаны кусаются, из-за цифр стреляются, шифры меняются, мысли теряются между банкнот. Я хотел начать жить снова, но не смог. Братаны кусаются, из-за цифр стреляются, шифры меняются, мысли теряются между банкнот. Я хотел начать жить снова, но не смог. Братаны кусаются, из-за цифр стреляются, шифры меняются, мысли теряются между банкнот. Я хотел начать жить снова.
I have to leave Gabriel and the boys alone really quick because it's actually 80th birthday of my girlfriend's grandma. She lives pretty far away, so my sister is going to fly me there now. So I'm going to fly down there with my sister. I'm going to have lunch with the grandma, and I'm going to fly back, and then we're going to see how far Gabriel and the boys have come. So let's go. Side quest time, adventure time. Once again, I honestly feel like I'm on so many side quests all the time. It's insane. I should probably say my sister is doing her pilot's license, so that's why she's flying me. I never flew with her, and this is like pretty much the first flight that she's doing with the passengers, so... Muss ich gehen? Ist das der erste Flug mit jemandem?
Ja,
Perfekt. Was für Flieger fliegen wir?
den coolsten hier am Platz.
Ja, okay. Der schaut gescheit aus. Das passt. So, really quick, I'm absolutely scared of flying, especially in small planes, but I have to do this today. Was für Flieger?
Das ist eine DA42.
DA42.
Eine Diamond, DA wie Diamond Aircraft.
Aha.
4 weil viersitzig, 2 weil 2 Motoren.
Okay. Schön. Alright, side quest finished. 4 hours later, let's see Gabriel, the team, came up with. So, Games, wie weit sind wir?
Kurz zum Fertigsein.
Was tust denn du Schönes?
Boah, wir wollen den Map-Sensor tauschen, ohne dass wir den Kompressor rausnehmen.
Schaut gemütlich aus. Yeah, so they actually did pretty much everything. This is actually the last step that we have to do. After that we have to put everything back together and then the car should be ready to go.
Spezialwerkzeug von Mercedes-Benz.
Genau, also da unten ist der Map-Sensor. Achtung auf die Finger.
Ich glaube, da ist sogar runtergeflogen.
Herstellervorgabe.
So yeah, everything is put together. We have the supercharger pulley on, we have the extra cooler in the front, we have some other small miscellaneous stuff. Gabriel finished welding the exhaust. We have everything on the car. Let's turn it on, see how it sounds, and then Philip from Prestige Tuning Solutions is gonna do what he's gonna do, which is he's gonna put a nice little software or tune on my car, and then we're gonna see how it performs. I'm honestly a bit excited now. Can't wait to see how this actually does its job, but I think it's gonna be insanely fast. So just for reference, similar setups, they can provide up to 700 horsepower and around 900 newton meters of torque, which is insane for the amount of effort we put into building this car. We literally all we did was just replace the pulley, intakes, and then the upgraded cooler. That was it. Put a tune on the car and the car makes 700 horsepower, 900 newton meters of torque. Crazy. So let's fire it up, drive it a little bit, then we're gonna figure out what to do here, and then I think we're gonna dyno it afterwards. Alter, was war das? Gottes Willen. Okay, we all really have no idea where this noise just came from, but it was very disturbing noise. We're gonna... Genius idea. We are going to disconnect the fuel from the engine and we're gonna just crank it manually and then we're gonna listen again where the noise comes from. This is like the worst thing you can wish somebody. Noises from the engine, nobody knows where it's coming from. So... there might be a screw inside my engine now that could have maybe fallen into the engine when we removed the intake. It would have been too easy if we would have worked like this today. I might need a new engine. Okay, we just tried spinning the engine by hand over the Kurbelwelle and we moved it a few times. Now it's stuck. I'm getting Firebird flashbacks.
Dann nehmen wir mal die Dinger, oder? Die Außenbrücken. Ich kann den Motor nicht mehr weiter dran.
Was heißt das?
Dass irgendwas zusammensteht.
Im Motor drin. Okay, we're gonna have to take the head of the engine off and we're gonna have to look inside, see what's going on. Should work, but yeah.
Warte mal. Da schau mal. Da ist ein Stück Alu drin, aber nichts, was reingefallen hat, sein kommt, sondern
Einfach nur ein Stück, gell?
da ist drinnen was.
Ja, drinnen was abbruchen.
Ja. Siehst du das? Am rechten natürlich der Alustück.
Oben drauf.
Hey!
Warte mal, was ist das?
Guss.
Wie kann sowas abbrechen?
Philipp, keine Ahnung.
Gottes Willen.
Das ist ein Stück von dem...
Vom Ansaugtrakt.
Ja, von Ansatz.
Aber
Zeig mal her. Hier ist nichts. Sich vorzustellen, dass unten eine Schraube hier reingefallen ist, aber das hätten wir doch beim Einbau gehört.
Das kriegst du mit. Das hörst du sofort.
Ja, was steht? Geredet, Musik.
Da ist nichts reingefallen. Bin mir ziemlich sicher eigentlich. Also, normalerweise macht es jetzt eigentlich tatsächlich nur Sinn, dass das Ventil schließen wollte und den Ventilsitz einmal oben kaputt gedrückt hat, weil irgendwas dazwischen war. Aber dass da was reinfällt, das hätte man definitiv gehört. Gib mir mal was bitte, was ganz dünnes, langes.
Ich?
Die Buchschüsse.
Was?
Ich wusste, dass es kommt.
Es wird nie langweilig. Du hast richtig gehört, dass was runtergeflogen ist, ding ding und dann...
Er hat klack gemacht. Das heißt, unten ein Stück ist wahrscheinlich sogar durch ein Ventil durch.
Ja, mit Sicherheit, sonst wäre der Motor nicht fest.
Ja, ich kann das im Kreis bewegen, also in der Fläche herumschieben, aber es bleibt drinnen, also es ist...
So, obviously the first issue is we have to figure out what it is. We know that it is some sort of Gussmetall, so maybe it was from the intake or something, so something came loose and just fell down in there. And the second bigger issue is obviously that we have to get it out. We can just hope that it didn't damage any of the pistons. Gabriel said that the valve itself seems to be good, but yeah. Irgendwas ist da gerade rausgekommen.
Ist das? Ja, das ist schon, oder?
Das ist ein Stein, der so schon Ewigkeiten drin ist. Nein, das ist in die Richtung irgendwo geflogen. Alter, es liegt an der...
Warte mal, aber siehst du es?
Wo ist?
Da.
Das
ist das.
Das
Doch,
ist
Mann,
Das ist wirklich, ne?
100%.
100%, ja.
Sprengen wir am Boden auf. Ich glaube, wir haben schon. Brauchst du nichts mehr. Ja.
Jetzt mit der
Du lagst mit einer
Hä?
Mit dem Schraubenzieher? Was ist denn das? Das ist...
Das Ventil oder Kolben?
Das ist Kolben.
Das sieht nach Kolben aus, ja.
Aber vielleicht hast du Glück.
Na, läuft ganz normal.
Ach so, meinst du, er hat noch Kompression auf dem Zylinder?
Nein, aber der Drehraum ist doch okay.
Na, er wird welche haben, aber halt nicht die gesund ist.
So, Hilfe naht.
Hilfe ist da. Da haben wir das Gerät.
So, we are going to look inside the engine now to see what happened.
Ich glaube, es sind noch nie so viele Leute da
Da liegen Reste.
Der Kolben ist in Ordnung. Aber das ist ja dann nicht vom Kolben.
Das schaut aus wie ein Gabel der Lunge.
Das ist das Ventil. Alter, sind da Späne drin.
The strange thing is the piston is okay, so nothing happened to the piston itself, which is good. But we still don't know where the part came from, and there is metal flakes inside the piston chamber and also inside the ventil chamber, whatever. Honestly, we have no idea right now. It's a bit tricky. So we disconnected the spark plugs. I'm gonna start the car really quick without them, so that the engine is not running, to see if the engine is stuck, because it's so strange. It's so strange. The engine is stuck, but the pistons look good. So at first we thought that the pistons might have, pistons tipped, but it doesn't look so. We looked with the camera, pistons did not tip, pistons look good, but the engine is stuck. So we're gonna try to see if it really is stuck or if it's just really hard to turn it by hand, crank it by hand. Which it shouldn't be, but we're gonna find out. And then afterwards we're gonna find out why there's a bunch of stuff inside the intake. Our idea is that something got left inside the intake and it went through the whole supercharger and then came out the back. And then one piece of that landed inside the valve. Okay, whatever went through our supercharger was pretty big in size and left pretty many parts inside the whole engine. So we're not gonna start it. Also, we talked like 2 hours about what we do now, but on the last poll you saw that there's something seriously wrong with the engine, and we honestly don't know what, and we don't have the time and nerves to check it out now. So the car is going back on the ground, wheels on. Then eventually Marco has the pleasure to have this car in his garage, and we're gonna organize a second engine for it because we pretty much know that the engine is fucked. And we're gonna engine swap the car. Philip is gonna come back and he's gonna take care of that. Shout out to Philip at that point. I really appreciate it. Once again, Prestige Tuning Solutions. Danke. Also, ich habe mit allem gerechnet, aber das Auto heute nicht läuft und sogar negativ läuft, dass es einfach hier ist. Yeah, so I see you guys in a few weeks again. Alter, das Projekt ist einfach das so wie die unendliche Geschichte ist, das ist das verfickte unendliche Auto. Bro, this car should have been on like 1 month ago. Und jetzt ist der Motor hier. Yeah, so back to the drawing board. Gabriel and Philip had the pleasant job to get out the old engine of the car and to fully inspect it. And together with some friends, we soon found out what the real problem actually was. It turns out the previous owner probably never did an oil change for around 100,000 kilometers. So this is what an AMG looks like if you don't service it regularly. Take notes, kids. Always do your oil change. Always do your maintenance work. It is, in fact, really important, or otherwise we're gonna end up just like us with the grenaded engine. If you look at the piston, it is absolutely screwed. Also the block itself, everything completely unusable. Which means it's time for a new engine. Yay! Thanks to the guys over at Moscow Supercharge, we were actually able to source an engine pretty fast. It cost me around 3,500 euros and it was completely dismantled. Which means Gabriel and Philip also had a nice job of putting the engine back together. Here's a little ASMR of that. Once the engine was back together, it was time to put it back into the car and hook everything back up. And then, with much luck, we should be able to start the car. Alright, excuse the mess in here a little bit, but it is finally done. The E55 AMG, the masterwork of German engineering, masterwork of Gabriel and Philip from Prestige Tuning Solutions, is running again. So we now have a new engine in the car. The car sounds very healthy.
Ja, auf jeden Fall.
Oh yeah.
OEM, oder?
Yeah, OEM. Yeah. This car is now finally how we wanted it to be. It is drivable, the 8HP works, everything is how it's supposed to be, and it's an absolute sleeper. If you don't know anything about cars, you wouldn't know that this car is hopefully as quick as it is. I have to say, it looks absolutely amazing. It's such a nice looking car, so well designed. Can't wait to test it out. So what we're gonna do now, Gabriel and me, we're gonna take it for a quick little spin, and then we are going to dyno it to see how much power it's making. So we know if all of our efforts were worth it, because this took way longer than we expected, honestly. We thought it's gonna be like a 1 or 2 week job, and it turned out to be 2 or 3 months job. Good job, jawohl, servus. And also really big shout out to Philip from Prestige Tuning Solutions. Honestly, without Philip, this car would not be the way it is right now. And also Moscow Supercharge, they helped us find the engine. Now with everything on and the car running, it is such a beautiful car. Look, it's so timeless, so elegant, so luxurious, but I think it's gonna be sick to drive. I think it's gonna be an absolute weapon. It's gonna be really brutal, but we're gonna jump in, we're gonna find out and see if this really is the German Hellcat. Hup mal rein, los geht's.
Das ist eigentlich gut.
Mega schön, oder? Stance Nation, hinten und vorne. So the only thing not working is the Distronic, but we don't really need the Distronic anyway. So klingt aber jetzt schon geil.
Voll geil.
Ah, das müssen wir noch isolieren irgendwann mal.
Ist schon isoliert.
Also
von unten oben und halt Blinden drauf.
yeah, this is still a prototype. We're gonna make like some beautiful fine machine stuff. Okay, we wanted to... Gabriel maybe stands it a bit too much in the back, so we're gonna have to do some... Schon wieder, Alter. We have to adjust the air suspension really quick before we can drive it. Oh, but the car looks sick. I wish we could drive it like that. It's so cool. Okay, I think this is a good moment really quick to show you guys my new No Sense pants, because I'm actually pretty proud of them. As you can see, really good fit. You have some pockets for whatever stuff you have, you know, tools, whatever, everything you can have in your hands, you can also put in your pants. Also on this side, you have more pockets. I think the pants look sick. We have double layer on the knees, so you can work on your car with these pants. And I think they're actually pretty cool summer pants, or like working pants if you're working on your car. So go over to www.schiffchen.at, check it out. And with that, let's go for a small little test drive. Okay, we currently still have a very interesting suspension setup. That's why we're sitting like this, because the rear is just way higher than the front. But so far, I have to say, I'm actually really surprised how well everything works. We've isolated this a little bit, so it's not so loud anymore from here, so the car doesn't sound like a Cadillac anymore. But I have to say, just from driving like normal day driving, I think this is like the ultimate daily driver. It's so comfortable to sit in here. The suspension is so soft, and we already are in the hardest setting, so it's going to be... Yeah, well, we're not gonna drift today, so I don't really know how this is gonna be, but we're gonna see in the future, I guess. But the suspension is perfect. Also ohne Scheiß, das fährt wie Serie. It's like OEM Plus. We just have to make this a bit more beautiful, and then I think we did an excellent job in the transmission swap. Cruising perspective, it seems to be a very nice car. It's a very comfortable luxury car. I get a little bit of a Hellcat vibe already, because it feels like a boat, but I'm really...
Fährt sich Hellcat auch so?
Yeah, sure.
Echt?
Nah. Fun fact, by the way, Hellcats, so like Chargers, have the same chassis as this car. Because back then, Dodge was owned by Mercedes Daimler, so they used the W211 chassis, which is this one here, for the Chargers and Hellcats.
Das ist schon gut.
Okay, we're gonna do one small little one here. Was ist das?
Das ist schon wild, oder?
Alter, das fühlt sich voll schnell an. Das war einfach nur zweiter Gang bis 50 oder sowas.
Ja.
Alter, das ist richtig schnell. What the f is this? I expected a lot of stuff, but this car being this fast now, and the transmission is insane. It shifts so quick.
You can't even, you don't even feel it.
Just constant. Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, you have to rev it high and then shift manual.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Was ist jetzt so?
Das ist mir vorher passiert.
Okay.
Du kommst mit der Bauer nicht zurecht vom Motor.
Hey, you hear the supercharger a little bit? For it could be a bit louder, the supercharger, but the guys from Moscow Supercharge told us this is the best setup if you don't want the engine to blow up. And I don't want my engine to blow up again. I think we should be good.
Ja, voll.
We didn't do the differential yet, but the car goes a little bit better sideways than before. So I'm actually very positive. This whole build is a great success for me already. I don't need to see anything more. Build 20 more of these. So, enough testing. We're gonna take it to the dyno now to see the true potential of this engine and what we actually built. So let's go. Ja, wir haben Mani eingesammelt. Mani ist also da. We actually drove like 2 hours here to the dyno and everything seems to work fine so far. We made it here to Reichert Racing pretty close to Salzburg, so that was like a 200-kilometer drive. But the car is working flawlessly so far. But now this is where it gets interesting, because now we're going to see how much power it's actually pushing down. Because, well, we didn't really do much to the engine, but we did a little bit. We did some software, pulleys, intake, cooler. Let's see what this really brings. Klingelt oder war geil? Ja, wir haben eventuell kleine Probleme auf die Brust drauf zu kommen. Beziehungsweise wieder davon runterzukommen. Okay, cars on the dyno now. This is Dimitri, by the way. Dimitri is a legend. Was glaubst du, Sommer? 605. Yeah, I'm also guessing something around 600 horsepower. We're gonna find out now, I guess. I'm a bit nervous now. After all this work, all of these weeks working on this car, this is gonna be a good moment, I hope. I hope it doesn't blow up. If it blows up, I think I'm gonna burn the car. Here on the first pull, the car made around 500 horsepower and 1000 newton meters, but we had a few fuel cuts. I think honestly that the spark plugs are bad and we need to change them. But 1000 newton meters, it's insane, and if this would be true, it would not be good because the transmission can only last to 900 newton meters. So we're gonna do another pull and see if we were right. Haben wir Verstärkung dazu gerufen. We just found out that for some reason the measurement stops at 4,500 RPM. That's why the horsepower is not where it's supposed to be. But so we're gonna do one more time and we're gonna hit ref limiter and we're gonna see. Because I think the dyno is set up incorrectly. So yeah, but 1,000 newton meters is insane so far, and it makes me worry a little bit, I have to say, about the gearbox. Okay, that was ref limiter, so let's check. Okay, so this time it was 3,500 RPMs, at least that's what the dyno says. So we have some measurement problem somewhere. We don't know where, but if the 1,000 newton meters are correct, the car should have around 650 horsepower. We're gonna do a few more runs because that's all we can do, honestly. This car is insane, and the ref limiter is crazy. Yeah, it's a bit tricky to measure this car correctly because of the set of 8 that we have in the car, because obviously it is something completely new and we don't really know which parameters to use on the dyno. So the torque is correct, but we don't make it, like the dyno doesn't measure above 4,500 RPM. So the horsepower is a bit off. It's a bit lower than what it is. So theoretically it had like 460 at 4,500 RPM, which means ref limiter is 6,500. Should probably be around 600, 650 maybe horsepower, but we can't really say it like this. So we're gonna try it one more time, but like I said, it's a bit difficult. You can see 4,500 is where it cut off, but then in reality, you know, this whole bottom end of the graph is just a little bit, well, it's not right. The torque probably also a bit too high because of this, so you could probably subtract around 100 to 200 on the torque. So realistically we have around 900 to 800 newton meters of torque, and then like I said, I guess around 650, because Obviously the car does not limit at 4,500 RPM. Well, at least the car looks good. So, well, the car's running, sounds great. We have... Yeah, I don't really know what is going on. The car sounds good, it's great. It feels great while driving, it feels really fast while driving. So I honestly think it was just a bit tricky to measure it correctly. Doesn't really matter at all. I'm really happy that the car is running now correctly as it should. And we have now officially swapped our E55 with an 8 HP transmission. Ich bin so froh, dass das Projekt endlich vorbei ist. This car honestly was a pain in the probably the worst project we've done so far, but now seeing everything come together, car working, transmission working, is just a blessing. We only need to figure out the differential, what to do with it, because we still have the open differential, and I do want to drift the car a little bit, so I'm gonna figure it out in the future. In the meantime, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Gabriel, for building this car. Thank you to Moscow Supercharge for providing the parts. Thank you to Philip for being so helpful with us. Honestly, this guy is probably one of the best people I've met so far while building cars. He drove here 2 times all the way from Germany to help us with it. Yeah, thank you also to Ronnie for helping us figure out the 8 HP transmission, because that was honestly, I still don't know how they did it. That was magic in my eyes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the car, and I'll see you again very, very soon.